Geek Out! Hey, and welcome to another installment of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
I'm Josh.
And we're back with another interview. This time we've got Chynna Clugston Flores. She's promoting the remastering of Blue Monday with Image Comics. The first volume is out in shops everywhere.
It's true.
Yeah, check it out. It's got full colors with Eisner Award-winning colorist Jordi Belair.
Mm-hmm.
The second volume comes out Wednesday, October 26th. You can see our review for the first volume is already up on the site. Here's a hint: we absolutely loved it.
Yep.
So yeah, without much further ado, let's have Chynna talk about the book. And joining us this week, we've got Chynna Clugston Flores. She's here to promote her Image Comics series, which was originally a Oni Press series, now that I think about it. Blue Monday. The first volume is out in comic book shops everywhere. You can get it on Comixology. The second volume, Blue Monday Absolute Beginners, will be out in comic book shops everywhere on Wednesday, October 26th. She's also writing the Lumberjanes Gotham Academy crossover for Boom. So yeah, Chynna, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
So let's go ahead and get the big questions out of the way first so we can get to some of the fun stuff. So like I kind of mentioned, Blue Monday originally started out, well, I suppose it was in Dark Horse Presents as well, but then it was over with Oni Press. And what made Image the right publisher to do these remastered editions?
They seemed like a great home for Blue Monday, and actually they were just the first people I had in mind when I thought I might go ahead and take Blue Monday somewhere else. Oni and I had different ideas about the direction for the book to go in, and they're awesome guys, and I love them, but, we just kind of figured, all right, we'll just, part ways amicably and see what happens. And so I went ahead and approached Eric Stevenson at Image, and he was like, F yeah, let's do it. So I feel very lucky,
Right on.
And it seems to be working out, yeah.
How long had you been... How long had you wanted to remaster, recolorize the book?
Oh, for ages. I've always wanted it in color, but I love black and white books too. So it's I'll do them in black and white, and that's cool, and I'll do grayscale and everything like that, and it'll be manga, original manga in Japan, and that'll be kind of cool. But the idea of ever being able to do it in color was just really exciting, and so not having the chance, I didn't really think about it. And now I have the chance, and being able to go back over the art and kind of tighten it up a little bit and make it prettier. It's a wonderful opportunity. I'm very happy about being able to do that.
Has it kind of been like a time capsule experience, revisiting some of these stories are over 15 years old now. So how has it kind of been revisiting all these older stories?
Oh, when you see your older work, it's really easy to beat yourself up over it. You're like, oh, I could have done this better. Oh, why didn't I focus on this a bit more? So it can be kind of painful looking at older stuff. But at the same time, you realize that, you're just proving that you've grown during that period, and I think readers and fans of the book, understand that too, because they've also, the ones that have enjoyed it from the beginning, they've also kind of progressed with it, and they seem to kind of have a good time going back and looking at the older stuff and be like, oh man, I forgot about that, and it's actually great the way it is, don't change it too much. And I definitely got some comments like that. Don't change too much. Like, okay, I'll try not to. And it's hard not to do that too, So.
Do you have a greater sympathy?
I kind of have to.
Yeah. Well, do you have a greater sympathy for George Lucas now with the Star Wars movies?
I hate to say it, but I totally understand. Even though I disagree with him ever messing with it, of course, like everybody else, I totally get it. So yeah, I understand.
Sure. Now, we talked about this briefly in San Diego. I don't know if it was briefly. I was like 3 scotches deep at that CBLDF party. Anyway.
Like you do.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so easy. But the Wyoming Earp cast was just right there.
Yeah, that was sweet.
Yeah, but you actually, Blue Monday is kind of a semi-autobiographical tale of your youth in the early to mid 90s. You actually met Adam Ant, and I was wondering if you could kind of, for the listeners at home, kind of talk about that a bit.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, I didn't get to meet him during that time period. I didn't get to meet him until after I did finally see him in concert for the first time. That was actually, I think back in maybe 2013 when he hit San Diego.
Oh, wow.
I know, and I felt like such a stalker, but a friend of mine posted online that, she had just run into Adamant in Horton Plaza, and I'm like, oh crap, that means that he's going to be wandering around, like there's a possibility he's wandering around downtown San Diego right now. So I called up my buddy who's another Adamant fan. I'm like, dude, do we do this? And she's like, oh my God, come get me. So we're like, oh God, so we go running around. We go around downtown, and we're like trying to walk and be cool, and like, well, do you spot him? She totally spots him walking across the street by himself, and he's just, window shopping or whatever. And we're like, oh my God, we're totally stalkers. I felt so guilty, but like at the same time, like it's the only chance I've ever had. They're like, I've got to do it. She actually forced me to bring a book along too and give it to him. He was really sweet. I think we kind of startled him. I don't think he was expecting to be accosted on the street, but he was totally sweet, took pictures with us, and he's like, oh yeah, I heard of this, so thank goodness he, wasn't like, get away from me, you crazy girls, or I was like, now it's crazy middle-aged women, get away from me, but no, he was really sweet.
Yeah, well, I mean, having that book's like the ultimate icebreaker, though. That's like the perfect thing to be like, hey, by the way.
He was probably just embarrassed for me, like, oh, you poor dear. But, yeah, very gracious.
Why couldn't you have written about Duran Duran?
Yeah, I know. Sorry, I love you, Adam.
No, he's a cool guy. From what I can entail, I've never actually met him myself. But,
sure, yeah.
But so in terms of how much of Blue Finnegan's and Clover's kind of adventures from high school did kind of reflect on your own kind of youth in the I guess that's like proto Generation X, right? That's like prime Generation X.
Well, I guess we're technically like the tail end. But yeah, no, it's loosely based off of my high school experience. Some is exaggerated, some is actually pretty accurate. So I like to let people kind of guess at what's more accurate than others. But I'll give examples though, like the Studley the mascot. I was the mascot for a while. I did have to try out in a really terrible, dumb way, and it was totally humiliating. That's in the book, and I wasn't the only one. I ended up trying out, and then a couple of other girls were also selected. It was like, well, then why did we even try out? So there's that, and that was terrible. And then the Jesus head, that's real.
Was there a double?
There's lots of things.
Did you actually make a double? Did you make a two-headed Jesus?
Oh, well, here's the thing. The one that I accidentally knocked off, we kept it, and we tried to go back and find it in the daytime, and we never did find it. So I just assumed that it was replaced, and then that's how the idea for the double-headed Jesus came around. It follows you and haunts you forever. So we couldn't actually replace it. So I actually still have it in my house.
It's like Czar does.
On display. It's in one of those baseball display cases too. It's like the perfect size. I used to take it to conventions and put it on the desk there. And like, oh my God, it is real. It exists.
It's funny about
and I'm sorry, whoever's grave was desecrated. I'm so sorry. I really tried to replace it. It didn't work out.
It's funny about the mascot thing, because when I got to that, I used to work at Red Robin. That was like one of my first jobs in high school, and they made me dress up as the Red Robin bird, and so
yes.
I'd have to walk around, and the only training they gave me was don't make kids cry, and so and if you made the kids cry, you had to like hide behind tables to get to other places. So I'd be like squatting in this big bird outfit, like, doing this weird little dance to get by. And like all these people are eating their hamburgers. Like, we don't want this. Nobody asked for this. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I remember like the high school football team came in and
how was that?
Well, it's funny because like they just assumed I was a woman. And, and so one of the football players like tried to give me his number. And I came out after I was done, and it was clear that I was the bird because my hair.
He could have been just a
it's
sexually
true.
curious.
Well,
football
here's
player.
how I know he wasn't though, because my hair was matted down. I had like the red mark on my forehead. I was all sweaty, and I came out. I was like, "Here you go." And he's like, "What the fuck is this?" But no, so I totally related to the mascot thing for sure, because it's just it's the weirdest thing in the world being a mascot.
It is, and you know what? Studley's not the only time I ever was in a mascot uniform. I was also Scoopy, the Fresno Bee, for a while. I'm not even kidding. Yeah, I'm not even kidding.
That's such a great mascot name, though.
Scoopy, and actually that mascot, I believe, was designed by Walt Disney for Fresno back in the day. Yeah, so it was kind of cool, but at the same time, being a mascot is really, really terrible work.
Yeah,
because there were times when I was in the Scoopy costume, you're supposed to have somebody with you to protect you, and every time I've had somebody with me to protect me, they failed to protect me. So I've had kids punch me in the neck, full on, and I've had other kids feel me up. It was oh my god, I was like, what the heck's going on here?
With the Red Robin thing, it's just
know it's a real person.
Well, no, because the parents will be like, oh, he knows Mickey Mouse, and I'm like, come on, man, help me out here. And I'll have for the Red Robin suit, it was just the bird body and then yellow tights, so it's no man's land down there. And so you got kids grabbing your legs and you're crawling all over you. And the worst thing I ever did on accident was I used to play peekaboo with the kids, because when it got really busy, they'd call you up to the host stand. I pretend to answer the phone and be all wacky and stuff, because you can't talk. That's the ultimate no for them. Do not talk. You will ruin the illusion of talking. And so there was a little kid who locked eyes with me, and I had to keep remembering. I had to keep reminding myself that my eyes are on the top of my head, not my mouth. And so when I was first doing peekaboo, I was just covering my mouth, and it looks like I was trying to vomit on this kid. And instead, I had to find my eyes on the top, and I was doing peekaboo. And the kid's looking at me with amazement. What I didn't realize was the mom was right next to me, taking pictures. Mm-hmm. And so someone called, "Hey, Bird, it's the birthday dance." So I had to go do the dance, and I turned and I whacked the mom in the face with the plastic beak. And I'm pretty sure I just destroyed this kid's idea of mascots.
You pecked his mom.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. But
the violent puking mascot.
Yeah, the violent puking Red Robin bird, which I don't think they have there anymore. So I think
you killed it.
I killed it. Yeah. Whenever I went to Red Robin, for years after,
it's just the Grimace doesn't exist anymore.
Right. In college, my dad.
Grimace. I miss Grimace.
My dad would be the guy who'd call over the waiter and be like, "My son was the bird. My son was the bird," and I was like, "Get out of here." Anyway, like I said, I very much relate to the mascot stuff in the book.
Yeah, I mean, you've got new Blue Monday stuff coming out. I mean, you're remastering all the previous stories, and you've got the second volume. And I don't know why my voice cracked earlier in October.
We're remembering our adolescence. That's right.
Yeah, I'm
it's
full on.
Here.
Yeah, I'm in full Ducky mode. We're just going. I'm John Cryer, but the yeah. So you've got new Blue Monday coming out next year, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has it been, well, to kind of carry on the question of how does it feel to kind of go back, how has it been trying to go back into those characters, to write for those characters again?
Well, but here's the thing. I never stopped in my mind, and I've been writing notes for ages. It wasn't my choice to really not be doing Blue Monday during all this time. It's just, when you work in indie comics, it's really not the best money-making deal on the planet. So you end up having to do other jobs in order to, pay rent, and that's what I had to do. So my mind was always in that area, and I'm coming up with new stuff. So it's just me being working towards getting back to being able to go ahead and publish new things. Have enough time to write and draw these new books. So obviously I'm hoping that this does well, so that I can continue to do that and actually let it blossom, for lack of a better word, the way I always hoped it would.
Yeah, I mean, without going into too much detail, Jake and I were working at the Image booth at San Diego this year, and yeah, there was a lot of response to Blue Monday. Everyone was oh yeah.
I'm 90%, well, I'll say 85% sure I sold SNL's Anna Gasteyer a copy of the book for her daughter.
That's a deep SNL cut.
Yeah.
Wait, you sold who?
Anna Gasteyer from SNL. I'm pretty sure it was her. She came to the. I'm pretty sure. Like I said, I don't want to say 100%.
Yeah.
Because I looked it up.
Oh my god, that would be so cool.
I looked it up on Wikipedia, and I was like, I'm pretty sure, because the husband paid with a card, and I just looked at the name, and I was like, it doesn't say Gasteyer, but then I looked on Wikipedia.
Gasteyers are there?
I know, but then I looked on Wikipedia, and I'm pretty sure the husband's name matched the credit. Anyway, so I don't want to get your hopes up too much, but I'm pretty sure I sold a copy of.
Give me his credit card. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I sold her a copy for her daughter. So, yeah, they were excited.
God, that's so cool.
Yeah.
No, I've been totally thinking about it the whole time, and so my mind's been there. It's not really that hard to get back into. The ironic part is that I lived in San Diego for nearly 20 years, but now I'm back up in the area where I went to high school with all these kids, and so I'm getting these constant reminders, of what it was like being here. So I see the pizza, parlor, and I see the cemetery, the supermarket, all the places that we would run around at, and it's just kind of. it's kind of weird, but also kind of awesome at the same time because it is really helpful in getting back into the groove of things.
None of it's changed over the years? None of it's been like replaced by like Walmarts or whatever?
No, the place that we're in is pretty small still, but the only thing they have gotten rid of, and I'm so mad about it, is our bowling alley. It's gone. They took our bowling alley. But no, most of the things that were there before are still there. We just had a couple of additions, like, we got a Taco Bell well after the fact, which is, terrible. I used to ditch school to go down to Fresno in order to get Taco Bell. Now they got it up here. I would have, I could have made it to some more of my classes, but
kids these days don't understand how privileged they are to have a Taco Bell in the city.
Yeah.
They have it so easy. They even have a Jack in the Box up here. Oh, and the school itself, though, my God, we used to not even have working water fountains on the campus when I worked there. I didn't work there when I went to school there. No, they had working water fountains, and we didn't even have a cafeteria. Like when it rained, we had to find a tree or a classroom to go into, and be like, oh, okay, we're all right. But now they've got like this fancy school with a swimming pool. It's like I hate the new students there so much.
Swimming pools, good God,
Jesus.
I know, God. But anyway.
So obviously Britpop has a huge influence on like Blue Finnegan and Clover, though I guess Clover's more punk now that I think about it. But the on the story in general, so I just for contractual reasons I have to ask, like, Cure or the Smiths?
Oh, you bastard. That's so unfair. I'm going to go with The Cure because that's what Blue would say. Even though she loves the Smiths to pieces, which I do too, I'm going to go with The Cure. It's not an easy choice, though. It's a really mean thing to ask.
They got Disintegration. They got Kiss Me, Kiss Me, Kiss Me.
Yeah, exactly. Head on the door. But yeah, no, it's funny though, when I started Blue Monday, I was still too close to the time period, so it all takes place in the early 90s. So the problem is that I was too close to it, so I was still let a lot of like mid-90s Britpop kind of seep in there, at least a couple of songs. But to be more accurate, it's really more the shoegaze era. It's kind of pre-super Britpop era. We had Blur come out, I think it was 91 or 92 with Leisure, and There's No Other Way. But other than that, we weren't really hearing a whole lot yet. It wasn't until like right after I graduated high school that we started getting more Britpop like coming over here. But there was like this weird gap where grunge kind of took over and it was terrible. And I was still listening to the Jesus and Mary Chain and, stuff like that. Going like, I want my dance music back. I want my good stuff back. Kind of stuff that gives you butterflies when you listen to it. And it just was like this void for a little while right there. So,
yeah.
But yeah, anyway.
A little less flannel, a little more, I guess, Oasis never really wore guy liner, did they? But I guess this was a pre-Oasis world in Blue Monday.
Yeah, they showed up around 94, I think it was. So I was just out of high school then.
Yeah, I think that was What's the Story, Morning Glory, or somewhere right around there.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, exactly.
So to kind of change gears, how did the Gotham Academy Lumberjanes crossover kind of come about?
Boom started hiring me for little stuff here and there. And Shannon Waters over there was actually a fan of Blue Monday, and I think that's how that started. But the editors on Gotham Academy, Lumberjanes, were like, "Hey, you want to work on this?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'd love to." They approached me. I didn't know it was really happening. I didn't suggest anything, obviously, and it was their their deal, and they asked me if I wanted to write it. Of course I do. I love both properties, so that'd be really, really cool, and it's been great.
Have you talked to, say, like Becky Cloonan or Carl Kerschel or anybody about, or I suppose Noelle Stevenson at all, as kind of research before diving in?
No, I just kind of went back and read a bunch of the material, and I didn't have any direct contact with those lovely people. It was very talented, awesome people, but it was mostly editorial that I've been working with very closely with Daphne Pleben and Whitney. So they've been really fantastic.
Mm. Well, at the risk of getting my nose brown, without that research, it still fits totally within both of those. Like, it respects both of those source materials and blends them together quite well.
Thank you so much. No, I'm glad it's working. It's been really fun. I was just so glad that they liked my idea with the stuff that I came up with. So At first it was actually a bit darker, and I realized, we're not going for the usual, like, say, Gotham Academy crowd, which would be, gravitating towards more dark stuff. I'm like, oh yeah, no, let's make it more, a little bit brighter, a little bit more fun, since it's going to be all ages, and, with the Lumberjanes crowd. And it ended up being something I think is really fun and also really suitable to start in summer. It just kind of fits the whole season and stuff, So hopefully people are liking what they're reading. It could have been pretty dark, but it's not. It's not. I think it's pretty light and
it's a fun,
and still spooky at the same time.
Oh yeah. Now I feel like this movie's right up your alley to kind of completely change gears. But
sure.
have you seen the film Sing Street?
Wait, what is it?
Sing Street. It's about this Irish kid in like 1985 Dublin, and he like watches, I guess, TV because that exists.
It was invented by then.
Yeah. they had
was it in Dublin?
Yeah.
And they he gets inspired by watching bands like The Cure and like Duran Duran and Hall & Oates, and he forms his own high school, I guess, prep Catholic school band.
Yeah.
And it's he
does it all because he sees a pretty girl, basically.
Of course, the ultimate motivation.
And
decides to enter the battle of the bands.
Yeah, and music videos are big, so he basically lies to her and says he's in a band and wants to have her in this video, and he has to scramble and put this band together. It's like like your book. It's like a really like life affirming kind of feel good movie about like the power of music. Mm-hmm. Without sounding super cheesy, but
slice of life.
Yeah, it's my favorite movie of the year. I guess it just came out recently to like be able to rent and stuff, like it, whatever. But it's very much like a precursor to like Perks of Being a Wallflower as well.
Well, yeah, and I was reading when I was reading Blue Monday, and of course like the short stories, which are included in this volume, so you should check out in comic book shops now and in Comixology. The backstories all have like the kind of playlist, and I was like, oh, this is like all stuff that fits right in Sing Street. So
the whole series has a playlist throughout it, a soundtrack to it.
Yeah, that's right. It's
but
Blur.
I haven't seen that movie yet. That sounds really interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up.
Definitely check it out. Based on briefly talking to you at that rooftop party and talking to you now and reading Blue Monday, I feel like it's right up your alley. So I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, there's I always meant to mention this to people, and there was one teen movie that came out, and I think it was in '94 or '95 that just totally went under the radar. That was really, really great, and I wish it had gotten more publicity at the time. It was Angus. Did you ever see that one?
That was the one that Green Day did that original song for, right? JAR.
I'm not sure. I can't remember if Green Day was in it, but there were a bunch of there was like Love Spit Love, and I can't remember. It was really great, and it just totally, like, I don't think anybody really noticed it that I knew of. I was, like, the only one that watched it. But, there's just once in a while there'd be, like, this really, really cool movie and just fly right under, and I've always felt bad about that. It was a really cool one.
It was the, it was about the socially kind of awkward kid, which I'm aware doesn't, like, narrow it down, like, at all. But, like it's got like Kathy Bates and stuff in it, right?
Kathy Bates.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. It's definitely that outcast displacement thing, in school. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds really typical. I don't describe it very well, but it's definitely worth a watch if you're looking for kind of obscure, relatable things to check out. I'm not even sure if you can really rent it. I haven't seen it in such a long time.
Got to check the Amazon, I guess. Yeah.
There's always a way.
Yeah, it's the internet. I can totally check
it out. It's a wonderful tool.
Yeah.
And I'm looking it up on Wikipedia to confirm, yes, it does have Green Day's JAR in it.
Jason Andrew Revla.
Yes.
Yeah, which is on their International Super Hits compilation. They had such good B-sides. Anyway. So what were some of your big manga influences? Because obviously Blue Monday, big manga style. What were some of your influences kind of artistically going in with it?
Well, I was kind of changing up art style when I started Blue Monday, which you could probably tell because it's still a little, I wouldn't say shaky, but it's, it's still trying to find its way, and you see it change. The art style changed so much over the course of the series, even just from Volume 1 to Volume 4. So, the new stuff is even more changed, a bit more Americanized now. But originally, Rumiko Takahashi was a huge influence. I also watched a lot of Bubblegum Crisis, and Adam Warren, who is American, but he was drawing his own manga, back in the 80s and 90s originally. He's still at work too. He's awesome. But he was a huge influence, but it wasn't just manga that influenced me. I definitely was influenced by, I don't know if you remember the magazine Deadline, but there were a lot of artists in there from the UK that were just fantastic, like Jamie Hewlett and Philip Bond, and just a bunch of people like Nabil Kanan and people like that, and it was just fantastic. So that was a huge influence, and then there was a lot of American indie. So you can't really necessarily tell that all of these the influences are there, but they are definitely not just in the art, but in the storytelling too. So I always describe myself as an art mutt, but yeah, Takahashi big time.
Sure, yeah. Now, Chynna, this is something that we ask everybody that comes on the show. What are you currently geeking out over?
Stranger Things, hands down.
That's the fastest response we've ever had.
I've been having a really weird summer, and Stranger Things has just made it I have my escapism that I needed, and it's just perfect on every level.
It's kind of like...
I imagine you guys have seen it.
I'm about halfway through it myself.
Okay.
And I think Josh is a little bit further ahead of me. But, yeah, unfortunately, I think that's the most we have here on the show.
Yeah, I was in San Diego.
It was right before San Diego. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try to make this last, and I ended up only lasting 3 days. Like, some people just binged it all in one day. Some people were like, I could only make it 2. I barely made it 3, so... It's just been so, yeah.
Yeah, it's the ultimate kind of like...
Needed.
Yeah, I've only seen the first episode, but it's like if Steven Spielberg directed a script written by Stephen King that was scored by John Carpenter. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, even Carpenter, his influence, I think, is in the storytelling too. It's such a cool, such a cool mix, And I know that people that didn't grow up watching, Goonies and E.T. and all that, during the 80s that were a little too old for it, they're kind of going, I don't get it. I don't like all this nostalgia porn. But, for us, we're right at the perfect age, to really be like, yes, because I don't think that it's unoriginal in itself. I think, if we hadn't had these, it would still be really fresh, even with all the nostalgia that is in there. I think they do a really good job of adapting what the 80s really looked like rather than idealizing it.
Yeah.
And, putting it into the story without it being distracting, I feel. But
I totally
anyway,
agree.
That's just my opinion.
They totally brought to life the 80s. It's not just hey, look, an 80s reference. Hey, look, an 80s reference. It just is the 80s, and you accept it, and I love it.
Yeah. It does feel like if you were there and conscious, it feels like how it felt back then. So it's just kind of cool.
It's like the lost Amblin Entertainment film.
Yeah.
100%. Yeah. Well, Chynna, is there anything that you want to? When can we expect the latest issue of Gotham? If basically what I'm trying to say, is there anything that you want to kind of plug before we sign off?
Yeah, well, obviously, like we said, New Blue Monday coming out about every 3 months. We're going to have, until Volume 4, we're going to have Volume 2 in October, Volume 3, I think, in January, and then Volume 4 in April. And I think right around April, May, probably May, we're going to have the new series start. But also, Image is putting out Scooter Girl in color, and that's going to be out, it should be out in December. And then we're still obviously in the middle of Gotham Academy, Lumberjanes crossover, and we've only just had issue 2 come out, so it's still plenty of time to get the last couple of issues, and we're going to have a new one coming out, I think, in about 2 weeks. And yeah, also I worked on Saved by the Bell, and they just Lionforge just put out a compilation of the 2 seasons that we did. That were originally digital comic books, but now it's being released as a trade paperback. So that is also now available. So yeah, lots of stuff right now.
Have you had a chance to meet Mr. Zach Morris or any of the because
No, I missed Mr. Belding. He showed up, I think, at one of the Anaheim cons, and I missed that. But yeah, so I haven't met anybody from the show.
Not even
But I wouldn't mind
Screech?
meeting Slater. He's funny.
Nobody wants to meet
Yeah, I
Screech.
could avoid meeting Screech. I'm good.
But
Never
he's-
meeting that
Well, I
dude.
think he's like in
He's
Or
jail
his
anyway.
soft porn.
He's
Thank
the
you very
easiest
much.
one to run into. He's the one that's all over the place.
Yeah, for all the wrong
Yeah,
reasons.
which is kind of a disturbing thought in itself.
Yeah.
I'd rather not.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Sorry, dude.
We're kind of in like this awesome kind of early 90s. I mean, next year we're getting a Power Rangers movie. You know, we had
Yeah.
two maybe not awesome Ninja Turtle movies. Maybe we'll get a third. I've always been hoping. There's always been talk of a third Bill and Ted.
Yeah, they've been talking
my
about
God,
it forever.
that would be-
The
that'd be
people
crazy.
that talk about it the most are Keanu Reeves and
Yeah,
Alex
or
Winter,
Bill and
so-
Ted.
Well, and speaking of, Vertigo has a Lost Boys comic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
IDW
so
just
that's
put out.
which is
Yeah,
hella cool. And
yeah. We'll just.
oh, and this week I think MTV Classic is going to be returning. They're going to air
Oh yeah.
the first original hour of MTV. So it's been 35 years. So I mean, it's about that time when these things start kind of rotating back. So yeah, I think we're going to see a lot of that in the next year.
We're getting Crystal Pepsi back.
Yes.
It's already back.
Oh God,
it's
no!
back.
You can get it.
It's
You can
back
get it
already.
in select markets.
It tastes like no other.
Barf out my eyes. Oh.
I've actually never had Crystal Pepsi. So
It tastes
I
just
tried
like
that. It
regular
is the
Pepsi.
worst stuff.
It's well, we have two different opinions on Crystal Pepsi. All right.
It was a terrible, terrible idea. It was terrible.
just called Sprite, you know. They already got it.
No, Sierra Mist. It's
yeah,
a Pepsi
yeah.
company.
Oh,
Come
of
on.
course, yes. I'm getting my colas mixed up. Darn.
Your lemon lime sodas.
Yeah.
Well, Chynna, thanks for coming on the show again. The first two issues of Gotham Academy and Lumberjanes are out. Issue 3 coming out soon. The first volume of remastered Blue Monday with new colors by Jordi Belair is out in comic book shops and on Comixology now. And at the end of October, specifically October 26th, the second volume of remastered Blue Monday, Absolute Beginners, is in comic book shops everywhere. Chynna, thanks again for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm totally honored. It's been a pleasure.
Lovely interview.
Oh
Lovely
yeah,
interview.
that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, good talking to her when I don't have like 3 scotches in me. Yeah. How drunk was I at that party?
Extremely.
At the CBLDF
Yes.
San Diego Shindig.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get asked out.
No, you didn't. But
Is that a plus or a negative, Sam?
well,
Well,
asked to leave. is
Asked
what
to
it was.
leave,
Yeah.
not like
Yeah, no, see,
not solicited.
No.
Okay.
when I heard, yeah, solicited. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
That did, neither.
would that be a plus or?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but either
Depends
way.
on who's asking.
Yeah, it's true.
Mm.
But no, the book is awesome.
Yes,
Check it out.
fantastic.
It's out, the first volume out in shops everywhere. It's just a blast. And if you, I really, though the big thing about all that, I really hope she watches Sing Street.
Oh yeah, me too. I was actually thinking about that recently. I was like, yeah, I hope she like watches it and is like, this is the
And
best
actually
movie
enjoys
ever.
it. Yeah, that's the
yeah.
other part of that
Yeah,
equation.
definitely. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
she will.
She
Or
watches
she
it.
watches it. It's terrible. She's like, those fucking geek
Yeah.
out
I
guys.
just get like an email, and she's just like, that
Just-
movie
yeah.
was terrible.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
just
never
like,
speaking to you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, or at least listen to the
Please
soundtrack.
delete the interview.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Remove immediately. But, speaking of films,
Willem Dafoe's.
yes, though none of them with Mr. Defoe.
No,
Oh.
Yeah. Not even Daniel Day-Lewis. Does he act anymore?
Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yeah.
He takes like 5.
Did he
years
ever
between.
really act, or was he just
Yeah.
that person?
He takes breaks between movies
That
usually for
character.
a couple years.
Yeah.
He,
I feel
he
like-
got to
Yeah.
for him.
I suppose. He's probably still Abraham Lincoln in his mind. Or the guy from 9.
Yeah, that was a weird one because he did that one fairly quick.
Yeah, it was like There Will Be Blood, 9, Lincoln. I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
we're getting like,
So
Daniel
he's probably
Day-Lewis in
taking
triplicate.
a very long break.
yeah,
He deserves it.
Didn't he come like out of retirement to do?
Gangs of New York.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Because he really goes hard for the role.
he almost
so,
died making Gangs of New York
Yeah.
because he refused to wear a coat when they were filming in winter because he didn't find it period appropriate. Bill the Butcher wouldn't wear
Yeah.
a coat.
Yeah.
It's like, well, fuck you.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
thank you for the performance.
No,
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, whoopsie daisy.
my friend Mary watches it every St. Patrick's Day.
Oh.
Oh,
I'm not sure why.
Yeah.
I don't remember St. Patrick's Day being a big part of it, but
well,
is it? I only saw it the one time.
I mean, Leo's character is a son of an Irish immigrant,
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
good enough.
Yeah.
played by Liam Neeson, who's like the
Ooh.
ultimate Irishman.
Liam
It's true.
Neeson's.
Yeah. Yes.
He is my shit.
So, but we did, speaking of films that aren't starring Daniel Day-Lewis or Willem Dafoe,
Yeah.
we saw, Josh, we already talked like Jason Bourne, but do you want to give your 2 cents real quick about Jason Bourne?
It felt like very familiar,
Yeah.
unoriginal, kind of a little bit exciting for the action scenes, Bourne story.
Did you like the third act? Because Sam and I were talking about how much like that was the best part of the movie for us, was the Vegas stuff, the third act. Bourne.
The third act and the opening, everything in the middle just felt like very traditional Bourne stuff.
People looking vaguely pissed off, glaring at satellite feeds and CCTV.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every time Bourne showing up being like, oh, look, it's him, Jason Bourne. We want to catch him.
They're always like, my God, it's Jason Bourne. It's like, yeah, you've been hunting him for like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
At this point, anytime you see him, it should be like, God damn it, it's Jason Bourne. Not like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I stepped in more Bourne.
Yeah, they do exist. He does exist.
Yeah, like that kind of excitement I would have reserved for like Jeremy Renner's character showing up. Like, oh shit, it's him.
Aaron Cross.
We thought we got rid of that actor.
Yeah, I'm sure Universal did.
Yeah,
Because they treat Bourne Legacy like it never happened, which is fine.
Yeah.
But
I don't remember seeing it.
yeah, so you're right there with Universal.
Yeah.
But we all, the 4 of us together, in fact, saw another film.
Yep.
I was impressed with our ability to get all of us together for that one.
We did a good. We did a
because
quick,
it was such a last minute thing.
Slapdash.
Yeah. We were supposed to see it at the Alamo Draft House, but I ended up having to work too late, so we weren't able to catch our time, and all the other times at the Alamo Draft House were blocked out completely. So Jake did some detective work and found us. Right? Was it you, Jake, or was it Sam?
Town Center?
Found?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we all kind of looked on our phone, and I just sent a picture saying, "Here are the seats available. Let's do it to it." Suicide Squad, by the way, 10:10 showing. Boom, bought our tickets separately, and there was still a fair amount of seats left for that showing.
I feel like the 4 of us kind of run the spectrum of reactions on Suicide Squad.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
Let's start for the good news.
So
is that Josh?
Yeah, he's the best,
okay.
and then Chris, and then probably it's either you or me.
I think at this point it's Jake and then Sam.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens with the reactions.
I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Outside of Ang Lee's Hulk, there hasn't been a superhero film where I felt like I've wanted to walk out of.
Did you see both Ghost Rider films?
Yeah.
Okay.
Again, I found him entertaining, but it's not something like I'd write to the Academy saying you better fucking consider this for an Oscar.
It's no Mad Max.
Yeah.
I like how you do the Australian accent forever now.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised that I had no idea who the actual villain of the film was going to be, I'm just going to ask this now. Are we going into spoilers for this one? Because
we're in spoiler land.
We're in spoiler country.
I like that it was Enchantress and not the going rumor that it was going to be Tattooed Man, which I think he wasn't actually played by Common in this film as well, his character.
If he was, it'd be a waste of Tattooed Man. And it was a waste of Common.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, either way, his character did get wasted.
Just like Captain Boomerang.
Yeah.
Because he was drunk.
Yeah, but I thought the pacing and the editing was probably the one thing I'd add criticism to, because this felt like a film where all of the great stuff was in the trailers and didn't make it into the final product.
Yeah. To hop on next, since I'm the next one down the line, I agree. The 2 big things that I've been saying in the negative column for this movie is the editing and Jared Leto. Real quick, I just think Jared Leto was a terrible addition to the film, in general. Like, I feel like we could have cut out 90% of the Joker, and the movie would have been better because it wouldn't have had this terrible tangential
halt and grind Joker.
Yeah, exactly. That's my job, not Jared Leto. But I should program into the soundboard some sort of like, ha-ha!
Yeah. That would be good to play over and over again.
Give peace a chance.
Yeah.
Stay in school. Listen to your parents. But yeah, he every time he came up on the screen, like I was like,
It just shut
Like,
the plot down.
yeah,
It
I'm
stopped
fine-
in time,
Yeah.
to see the Joker and Harley
Yeah.
do their thing.
I'm fine with his inclusion in Harley's backstory, of which we get like 3 introductions / backstories to Harley Quinn and Deadshot within the first half hour, which that was like meh. Yeah. But like, so Joker for Harley's backstory, and then the scene at the end, like, okay, fine, he comes in to break her out of prison. That's cute. I would have preferred, like, with the way that they were building her character, like within the movie, I would have preferred her to like right when he comes in, to break her out, to like stand on her own and be like, no, fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need the Joker. Like, that's where it felt like her character was going. But because they just chopped it before anything happened, I was like, oh, I didn't get any character growth from Harley Quinn. And then my other thing, the editing. The editing, it felt like it was edited, and I've heard rumor that it was edited by the people that edited the trailer. And like, that's fine if it's a trailer. But people that edit trailers, like, as someone who is, I hate to sound douchey like it, but has been part of the film industry. You have people that are designated for editing trailers, editing features. There's 2 very different ways to edit those two things. I lean more towards editing trailers because I'm good at short things, and I'm good at doing quick cuts and stuff like that. I could never edit a feature film unless I was like editing for what's his name, Guy Ritchie, because he has that style. It did not work for the Suicide Squad, especially since like halfway through it kind of like changes and like feels like it's trying to be a regular movie, and then it's like, oh wait, flashy weird things written on the screen that you can't read because it goes by too quickly. But yeah, so those are oddly enough, 2 big complaints. But I enjoyed, the movie overall. Like, I was able to. It was a good piece of escapism. I was able to get out of my life. Yeah,
my stupid life.
Yeah, exactly. And just watch Margot Robbie's butt.
Yeah. Before Josh,
which it takes up like half the movie.
It does. Who's your favorite squad member, Josh?
Captain Boomerang.
Chris, who's your favorite squad member?
I might go with Boomerang as well. As much as I enjoyed Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn, I think I enjoyed overall Boomerang better in the movie.
Sam, who's your favorite squad member?
Are we counting Katana?
Yes,
she's part of the squad.
Katana.
All right.
Jake, who's your favorite squad member?
Captain Boomerang.
Oh shit!
You know what's funny? Like,
did you want me to say Captain Boomerang?
No, you didn't have to. I'm actually glad you said Katana, so we didn't all say Captain Boomerang.
Yeah, right.
Even though the correct answer was Captain Boomerang.
I should have just said Harley, just for the sake of like keeping it different.
No. Captain Boomerang. Well, it's funny because before, like the day of the movie, for some reason, I saw an interview with Jai Courtney, and I was like, I was like, man, like this guy's like, Australian. Captain Boomerang's Australian. Like,
perfect.
Yeah, it's perfect. But like, remember in the trailers,
gotten Mel Gibson.
Oh, they should have. Well, he's actually not Australian, but that's okay. That's a long. I feel like that's a misnomer. But yeah, I remember seeing him in the trailer, thinking it'd be funny and stuff. And I remember way back when we were talking about the trailer, I remember Josh and I were like, I think we like Captain Boomerang. And I remember because we had talked about, we weren't the biggest fans of Kyle Reese in Terminator Genesis, which is played by Jai Courtney. And so I was pleasantly surprised by his performance. Like, I thought he was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, he's not in it very much.
He's kind of like the occasional comic relief.
He is.
He's like Wonder Woman in Batman v Superman.
The comic relief.
Yeah, not in it, not in it that much.
Yeah,
but maybe the best part.
Yeah. And my favorite part is when he walked out of the bar when they were like, "You guys can go.
You guys are free to
go."
go.
And he just joins the team later. The pink unicorn, Pinky. I wish that was more of a thing, but whatever.
Yeah.
Overall, though, I was very disappointed with the movie. Like, and that is a reoccurring theme with the DC universe for me. That's a bummer. Is that I'm disappointed with Man of Steel. I'm disappointed with Batman v Superman. I'm disappointed with Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad actually maybe bummed me out more than all the other ones because I felt like this was the one that was going to start to set things straight.
I think this is the one that you were anticipating the most.
It was because Zack Snyder was just kind of not directing this one. David Ayers is like awesome. Like End of Watch and Fury are like two of my fucking jams. Street Kings is a fucking jam of mine. And then he wrote Training Day. The guy knows how to do grit, realism, law enforcement action kind of thing, and in different ways. Like End of Watch, like Kevin Smith was saying when he was talking about it too, like has every kind of camera you can use, dashboard cam, security camera footage, conventional cameras, the body cams that cops wear. And so everything was leaning towards it. I liked the cast a lot. The characters were different. Like, who'd expect to see Killer Croc already? Captain Boomerang, El Diablo, Slipknot, all that kind of stuff. But everyone was right about Slipknot, by the way. So every single person in the world.
I didn't even know Slipknot was going to be in it.
Yeah.
Neither did he.
Yeah. But it's that thing.
He did
where,
kind of
like,
have that look on his face when he's revealed. He's like, "What?
Yeah.
What am I doing here?"
Like, I didn't want to believe the Rotten Tomatoes thing when it came out, because like I was like, this can't be the case, because you were the chosen one. This is supposed to be. And again, maybe I was putting too much into the movie, but for me, I echo Chris's statements about the movie a lot. I think that it's some really weird placement of scenes, and again, I'm no film director, movie guy, like editor person, but like, I don't know, the scenes are so out of place. Yeah. I don't know why
they don't flow.
They don't flow.
Yeah, it's a very
squad.
It's a very disjointed movie. It's a very kinetic movie,
and it's also
but not like played to its strengths.
Yeah, and it's also very like the whole like neon thing was like kind of cool, but like. And then like the whole like stylized, they're good at this, and they have a 3 handicap in golf, like and enough enough of that.
Pink unicorn fetish.
Yeah, that was cool though. But like,
that's just because you also have a pink.
That's
unicorn
true.
Fetish.
And I don't know, man. Like it was just such a kind of a mess of oh shit. It was kind of a mess of a movie. Give me this. It was kind of this is a My Little Pony though.
And it's not a unicorn.
No.
We can fix that.
But it is named Pinky.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's fair enough. But I don't know, man. The Batman stuff was kind of cool. The thing that I enjoyed the most besides Captain Boomerang wasn't just because it was Batman. It could have been any, well, the Flash shows up too. It could have been any single, it could have been any DCU character. It started to feel like an actual universe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Seeing Batman show up and whoop Deadshot's ass. Deadshot did have a badass moment when he gets on the hood of the car, like in the trailer, and he's like, like nailing all those like fucking dudes.
Which in like
the
the first
man.
Shit man, yeah,
like,
yeah. They zoom in on their face, like, isn't this cool? It's like it's a blob face.
in the first trailers, weren't they? Wasn't Deadshot wearing the mask in that shot?
No.
I could have sworn I saw.
No,
Oh.
I would have remembered that. Yeah. But actually wasn't. I was fine with the mask being off for the most part because it's Will Smith's coup.
And it's a silly looking mask.
It is a dumb looking mask, really. Pop figure's cool though. Thanks, Josh. And I had the Captain Boomerang in my hand, and I was like, maybe, but like, he doesn't have the he doesn't have the trench coat on.
I'll wait for Josh to just give it.
He doesn't. Yeah, he doesn't have the trench coat on with the
I gotta buy it again.
with the pinky. Don't buy it again. With the pinky.
I said don't.
Unicorn. But yeah, it's disappointing, man. It really is. Like, I was hoping that this was gonna freshen stuff up and breath of fresh air for the DC universe, and breast of fresh ass, and it just doesn't.
Always with the Wild West.
Yeah, it just doesn't. I mean, Will Smith, I guess that kind of
Will
works.
Smith, yeah.
But like it's a stretch. But it doesn't. It fell flat, and like how many fucking movies are gonna fall flat for DC? The answer so far is 3, and I'm hoping that stops with
because the next one's Wonder Woman.
But I don't know, man. Like whatever's in the water with the Warner Brothers DCU thing is not working for me.
Another thing that I feel like I noticed was that, like with it being a very disjointed movie, like I feel like they like learned like the wrong lessons from backtracking from Batman vs Superman, because there at a point like the movie just felt like there was too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yep.
So they were probably I feel like they were probably like, oh no, people don't like Zack Snyder. They must not like one person being in charge of it. So let's get the committee together to tell David Ayers how to
and you don't need to tell that dude how to make a movie.
Like David Ayers is someone that you don't need to do that to, and you like if you like peel through the fog a little bit, you can see that there are plenty of scenes in there which are fine by themselves. The problem is you threw in like the bad editing and like just some of the weird choices. Like, I bet there's a couple scenes where they're like alternate takes of it,
Sure.
which they're better.
Well, my thing too is like
or extended
the
takes.
the Enchantress, her like dirty witch form was so much cooler.
It really was.
And her transformation, I had actually seen that before the movie
that
in like a
hand
clip.
thing?
The
Oh, my
hand
God.
clip was so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, what did they expect with in universe with that character letting her loose? Of course she's gonna fucking go ape shit. But anyway, yeah. Again, I don't think the performance, towards the end with like the weird salsa dancing with the overdubbed, the world to be mine, like was kind of like weird. But I don't know, Sam. What do you help us out with this? Shit?
I mean, yeah, it's not a big secret that I'm maybe not the biggest fan of Suicide Squad. But yeah, I mean, it's disjointed. Is it a mess? Yeah. Is it a sometimes entertaining mess? Yeah. It's it's the performances. Most of the cast gives it their game.
And most of the for a movie called Suicide Squad, like it really
No one commits suicide.
Well, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, Slipknot kind of does because he kind of knows what's happening. But like Killer Croc doesn't really get anything to do except growl.
Someone posted like that they were really upset that Killer Croc's character basically was just devolved into the token black guy, and I agree. Like it, and it was kind of it was almost a waste.
It was, dude. His
like he
Killer
had
Croc
one,
was a waste.
He had one important scene, where he dives in and helps get the bomb.
Yeah.
You don't even see it really.
Yeah.
And Scott Eastwood pulls the trigger.
Yeah. Even Captain
And
Boomerang
what
doesn't
a waste
have.
of a Scott Eastwood.
Even Captain Boomerang. We all love Captain Boomerang, but he's just. We're.
He doesn't even really. He throws
has-
like 2 boomerangs.
Yeah.
He
And one of them
uses-
is for surveillance.
Yeah, he uses his boomerangs as knives and as a surveillance camera
Yeah.
that moves really slowly through the air.
But we don't.
So when Tentacle Sauron takes it down, we're not surprised.
Yeah, we're like pulling for any kind of Captain Boomerang stuff, but there's just not a lot to pull from. Very much obviously it's the Harley and Deadshot show, and they do fine. The one Joker moment that really works for me, which is like
The birth of Harley.
is not even that because like
That
that dialogue is fucking.
But some of the
I don't even know.
the visuals of them in the vat.
The
and you
visual's
saw
great.
this in the trailer, but them in the vat with like the paint mixing around. That
It's just
looked
they're in a
cool.
sauna though.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, this acid bath is wonderful. It clears up the pores. But like the would you die for me? Yes. Would you live for me? Yes.
Hot Summer Night.
Yeah. I was like, get the fuck
Yeah.
out of here with that.
Would you offer your
Throw to the wolf with the red roses. I would have rather had them just do that and they just start singing the rest of the song and the movie
You
ends.
have a dance with the devil in the pale
Yeah.
moonlight.
But my favorite Joker moment was when they open the back of the Chinook and he's just like shooting
the
wildly.
Scarface
Yeah.
Joker?
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool. That was cool.
Who has a gold-plated AK-47?
Yeah.
I wish I hadn't guessed that right.
Yeah. But,
What was wrong with a gold-plated AK-47?
If I can guess what's going to happen in a film like that, I usually chalk it up to bad writing. Because if I can guess it right,
That's true. You do have a terrible imagination.
you're not thinking very hard.
No, but I'm just saying, like, bad writing, maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
I will say
maybe.
a moment that was like
And it was very clearly rushed.
Yeah.
Everything. And that was something that was like made public pretty much because they were like, we have a set release date.
Yeah, it was in the Ballroom Blitz
Yeah.
trailers. Though.
And it was like, that was like a year ago. Like they hadn't even finished filming yet, and they were like, we have a set release date, and it didn't change. And like
the release dates are like gold,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Captain America.
Yeah, because that they refused to budge, and then so Batman v Superman was like, well, we'll just push it up by 2 months.
Yeah. I will say a moment that was super metal was when like the quote unquote Joker mobile is driving around, and I had seen this before on Conan, but like it takes that right turn and swerves, and then you hear the Batmobile swerve in the frame behind them, like they're in the middle of this chase, and we get to see it, and he jumps out and takes them down. And that was cool. But again, it's only it's fucking breadcrumbs with this movie that I was excited for.
Yeah, this movie was like a
by the
clip
time it was
show.
over. Yeah, and like. I am like I said, the most disappointed, even over Batman Superman, that this failed so hard.
Yeah.
If the rumors are true that the trailer team is the ones that edited this, I would want, or at least hope, whoever thought that was a good idea, who's ever in control of DC that allowed that, kind of ease that person away from allowing their ideas to bleed into the films for a little while.
I don't know. It's still made lots of money, so they probably don't care.
It's got to keep going.
Yeah, it's
gotta
true.
have
Yeah,
legs.
it'll
it's
have
gotta
the
make
first.
money. It's got to make money next week, and it can't be like Batman v Superman, where it had that huge pop on the opening weekend and then nothing.
Yeah.
It's got to gross around $800 million to break even.
I
because
can't
of
see
the,
it doing that.
I don't either because it's not
Spe-
getting a.
yeah,
it's not
especially.
getting
No, sorry.
well, no China.
Yeah.
It's not getting a Chinese release because of the supernatural elements.
Yeah.
Pity.
Just a It's just a bummer another bummer of a DC movie, man.
Yeah, man. And it's not like we're like sitting on the sidelines for like Warner Brothers. Like,
No.
no, we want good.
I'm
fucking
tired of
DC.
seriously.
Yeah. Give me my like Justice Society movie. I would love that.
I will say while I was watching the
tomorrow.
movie, I was like, while I was watching the movie, like I went in, hearing all of the negativity and whatnot, and so I was like sitting there expecting the movie to be crap, and like I'm watching it, I'm like, I've read comic books worse than this that did well, which is probably part of the reason why I was able to come out of it, still enjoying it, still being entertained. That, and also I tend to have a better ability than the mass of America to just be like, I'm turning off my brain for this movie. But I mean, that being said, I also like
I do that very well.
Close the door.
have no desire to see
Lose
Sasha
the
turning.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I take that to heart every time I see a movie.
Mariah Carey.
Yeah.
No, just those lines.
Zero to
unless
infinity.
unless it's Star Wars: The Force Awakens, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's Spotlight involved there.
Yeah.
But
Another one.
Still excited for Rogue One, though.
Yeah, there you go.
sweet.
Another thing that I did want to bring up, like, why did Killer Croc's head have to be so much bigger than the rest of his body?
That was so weird.
Like, I would have preferred a body that was proportionate to the size of his head, but if they weren't going to do that, could they make his head proportionate to the size of his body? Like, it was just weird.
It was weird when he
Like,
takes the jacket
people
off.
and crocodiles, neither of them have, that disproportionate of sizes.
I will say, what was your favorite pop song used in the film? Or like, given it's not just like your favorite song that they used, but given the placement of it.
I honestly don't remember much, but I just remember Queen was in that, which is cool because it was Queen. I don't really remind me of. I honestly don't remember.
Actually, the Bohemian Rhapsody that's in it is the Panic at the Disco.
Is it
Bohemian?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
That's still good.
I mean, it was still.
That's like
the only one that I remember.
I
Right
honestly
now
don't. There's
because of-
Eminem. Yeah.
Okay, that was
Spirit in the Sky by Norman.
Oh, Spirit in the
Greenbaum.
Sky. That was good.
Yeah.
I don't
What's the
remember
one
where it
that
was, but I
plays
just,
during the end credits.
During the end credits?
Yeah, it's the.
You mean during the last scene where they're going through the prison, or the actual credits itself?
It's the track I know they used for the remix trailer that I think is playing
you're talking
during
about the
end.
Bohemian Rhapsody.
and then Ballroom Blitz wasn't even in it.
Yeah.
Unless it was later in the credits,
No.
like after the. After
Did
the
Zack
mid-credits.
Snyder direct the mid-credit scene? Is that
I
the scene
don't-
that they say? Because everyone's saying that he directed a scene in Suicide Squad. It would make sense that he would direct.
I thought it was the Flash scene.
Oh, it would make sense that he would direct like the send up to Justice League.
It was cool seeing the Flash.
Yeah.
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 Get some Ezra Miller.
Yep.
Yeah, that
My-
was some nice continuity with Boomerang
Mhm.
and the Flash.
Yeah, my
since Boomerang is a Flash villain.
my
Yeah.
favorite my favorite song placement and everything, and I was like, oh, this is cool, is Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap by AC/DC, which plays during Boomerang's introduction.
That's right.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
It makes sense too.
Yeah.
Australians and all.
Yeah.
I will say, though, for my personal feelings, the music in this didn't jive well like it did with Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
True.
Yeah.
Yes. Because it was
Yeah,
organic there.
Yeah, it felt a lot more forced in this one.
Yeah. Because they were like, just cram it full.
People love pop music.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I mean, you guys do anything else other than watch Suicide Squad with all of us together?
3 of us watched Batman '89 today in the theaters.
Oh,
You
yeah.
lucky,
Yeah.
lucky
Talk about a good
bastards.
DC movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
For
Talk
once.
talk about a true geek out outing.
Yeah, I
A
was
geek outing.
I was
if may.
struggling, though, because I was tired as hell.
Oh, so was I.
Yeah.
I almost fell asleep halfway through.
I was like,
and
no,
I felt so bad.
I feel my eyelid starts. I'm like, not the Bozic syndrome.
Yeah.
You've infected us all.
Luckily, it didn't happen during Batman '89.
I need more icy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was cool, man. Like, I thought I knew what I was in for because we had, seen it so many times. But as soon as the theater went black and the Danny Elfman score kicked in, I was like, I'm finally seeing this movie on the big screen.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
because you were like, what, 3? I was
3,
4 when the
yeah.
movie came out. There was no way that we were seeing it in
No.
Yeah.
theaters.
I didn't see it until I was like 6.
Yeah. I was probably close to that age too on VHS.
Yeah, I think
Kid on My Street had that and Batman Returns on VHS.
Yeah. I think the first Batman movie I saw in theaters was Forever.
Yeah.
For sure.
First one I saw in theaters.
No, Returns.
Shit.
I might have seen Returns in theaters.
Mine was Batman and Robin. Actually, I thought it was Forever for the.
Batman Begins.
I thought it was Batman Forever for the longest time, but it was Batman and Robin because my mom hates violence and like all that kind of stuff. But George Clooney was in it, so that vetoed everything. So she took us to see it.
My mom's office threw a special employee screening where they rented out a theater for Returns, and some of the staff dressed up as the characters from it. And I remember being scared by one of my mom's coworkers that was dressed up as Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman from it.
Nice.
I mean, yeah, if anyone other than Michelle Pfeiffer dressed up like Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, I'd probably be scared too.
But it was cool seeing seeing it on the big screen. Seeing all those iconic Batman moments. There's something about seeing it on a big screen in a dark theater in a dark room.
Yeah,
It was very cool.
it was an event like no other.
Yes. I guess at the time of recording this, it's too late. No, Wednesday.
Yeah,
Which is when
sometime
this is
today.
dropping. Sometime today.
It's showing.
Check it at Cinemark Theater. You can catch it. I think Wednesday is the last day.
At 7.
Yeah. So
Yeah, so you have, if you downloaded this as soon as it became available, you have
you
7
got
hours,
time.
probably 6 hours. By now.
In the summertime.
Yeah. There are just real quick. There's 2 other movies I'm looking forward to in August, which is the Don't Breathe horror movie, Jane Levy and Evil Dead Co. coming back to make that one.
Fede Alvarez.
Yeah, Fede Alvarez. And then Bloodfather with Mel Gibson, which I have no idea if that's going to be anywhere around here, but I'm excited for that. That's all I got. That's all I got.
Been watching a lot of Next Gen still. It's good.
It's good.
It's good. I finished mine on a ERP. That was sweet. I talked about that on the interview a little bit.
Not this one.
Oh yeah,
Next
that's another
movie.
one. But I do talk about an
Well, you
interview
probably
coming
do
up.
talk about it in
You might mention it.
Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I've
Day
been
of the week is
jumping
good
back into Fallout 4. That's about it.
Sweet.
Nerd.
I was trying to say something, but I coughed at the same time.
Still articulate, Sam. Still articulate.
Tomorrow is a special day. Where I hopefully don't die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it is, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, we turned 30.
Yeah.
That was the funniest thing, man. I can't wait to listen to that shit.
Can we get that added to the soundboard?
Oh yeah.
Ask our sound guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was good shit.
Yeah, but no, thanks again to Chynna Clugston Flores for
Yes.
coming on the show. Blue Monday, completely remastered, completely, new colors with Jordy Belair. Out in comic book shops now on Comixology. Volume 2 comes out end of October 26th. So yeah, check it out. This has been another episode of Catching Up. I'm Sam.
I'm Chris.
I'm Jake.
I'm Josh.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Eric Bana.
This has been another Geek Out production. If you enjoyed what you heard, hey, we've got a new commentary every Monday. We've got a special episode every Friday. Of course, there's the usual Catching Up show every Wednesday. And you get book club episodes just about every Tuesday these days. Thanks for listening.